Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Back to School Night and welcome to Honors Geometry. I'm Ms. Sarah Stadowski, the teacher. In case you ever need to reach me, my email is askstadowski@rutherfordschools.org. So I always like to start Back to School Night with a few facts about me, both personally and professionally. So this is my 8th year of teaching. I've taught middle school and high school, and I did both my undergraduate and graduate work at Fairleigh Dickinson University out in Madison, and did some postgraduate work from Colorado State University. In addition to being a high school certified math teacher, I'm also certified to teach K through 8, just so I have a little bit more background on what students are learning at various grade levels. And a few things about me personally. I'm an avid coffee drinker. I drink probably about 10 coffees a day. Unfortunately, I'm one of the few people that hates chocolate. I know, kind of goes against kind of everyone's being, but not for me. I'm also, unfortunately, a Mets fan. Many people ask why usually, and the reason is back in high school I was a sports editor for my high school newspaper, and a student down in middle school won a day with David Wright, and I got to spend the day hanging out with him as well and interviewing him. So high school me became a Mets fan, and I just kind of stuck with it. But for my whole life, I've always been a huge UConn women's basketball fan. My dad is a UConn alum. I have a lot of family that lives in Connecticut, so I grew up watching UConn women's basketball and still do. I very rarely ever miss a game. And a couple things just about geometry so you have a background. Geometry is very different than many other math classes because it's an extremely visual subject. Lots of drawing, lots of pictures, things that can be manipulated and worked with. And I really like it because it does connect figures and shapes that students see around the world with math. Geometry does incorporate a lot of algebra skills such as solving equations, factoring, graphing. So students are expected to have a very strong foundation in algebra. We do review some skills, but they tend to be quick reviews so we can focus on the lessons at hand. And another thing about geometry that sets it apart from other math subjects is that it has a lot of terms and a lot of definitions that students are required to know in order to solve problems. So it is also very vocabulary based in addition to just solving problems. For class, students are required to have a calculator. My recommended calculator is the TI-84. TI stands for Texas Instruments. It's just the company that makes it. It is a graphing calculator. It can be used in Algebra 2, in pre-calc, in calculus, in college, on the SATs, standardized tests. So you do get good use out of it. I've personally had mine for over 10 years. It's the same one that I've had since high school. So it has lasted. I've just had to change the battery, but now they come with chargers, so it makes it even easier. It is expensive, so I understand if you don't want to get a TI-84 right now, but the TI-34 will also suffice. It doesn't graph, but it can still perform every other function that the TI-84 can. In class, we move very quickly. We learn a new lesson pretty much every day, so it's imperative that students attend class and do their best to try and get either to school or attend Zoom meetings, which when they are remote and when they are home, they will Zoom in for live lessons with me teaching, or they'll be assigned Edpuzzle videos. Edpuzzle videos are created by me. They're screencast lessons, so they match exactly what the students would be learning in class. It's my lesson, my writing, my talking, my way of describing things. So they get the same lesson, just not live. Another thing about Edpuzzle is because it is a lesson for the day, students are expected to complete Edpuzzle during our assigned class period to ensure that they are learning the proper material. As for grading, our grading policy is a 75% comes from assessments. Those include tests at 40% and quizzes at 35%. Tests are given at the end of the unit or the chapter, and then quizzes come every 2 to 3 sections. Before a test, I always review with the students. They always get a study guide, so they always know what to expect on test day, but we do not review for quizzes because quizzes are shorter. Students can use their notes, they can use their homework to review for quizzes. 15% of the grade is homework, which I will discuss a little bit more in just a second. And then 10% of the grade is the portfolio. Portfolio is basically a running record of students' work. It includes labs, independent learning activities, remediation activities, check-ins to see how much they remember, things like that. As for homework, so homework is assigned almost every night, and it's due at the start of class the next time class meets. And it's usually through Big Ideas Math, which I call BIM. Big Ideas is our online textbook, so they do actually have access to an online book. And I actually really like using the Big Ideas Math platform for homework because for every question that the students answer, they get 3 answer checks. So it gives them immediate feedback on whether or not they're doing their homework correctly or incorrectly. Late assignments are not accepted, so homework that's due at the start of next class, if it's not done, they do not get accepted. However, I do still encourage students to do it and complete the assignment even if it's without a grade, so that students still make sure that they understand the material. Any homework assignments can be found on Google Classroom as well as through the calendar on my Google site, so you can always check in and see if students actually do have homework. I'm also always available in the afternoon for extra help via Zoom, which is why I do ask students when they get home to kind of start their homework, get an idea of whether or not they need to pop in for extra help or not. And there's also National Honor Society tutoring. That's usually done in the library. However, this year, given current circumstances, for now it will be done via Zoom. And with National Honor Society, students get to work with some of our juniors and seniors and get to work one-on-one with another student, which sometimes they're a little bit more comfortable with, and it sometimes helps a little bit more. Now, when a student is absent, it is their responsibility to complete work that they missed. So they can do this by checking in with classmates, checking Google Classroom, sending me an email, coming to extra help for Zoom. They need to complete the lesson. They need to still complete their homework. When students are absent, there is a 0 put in the gradebook for any work that's missing, and that grade will be updated once it's completed. This is board policy, but it also helps to hold students accountable because they realize that there's a 0, a missing an assignment, and it helps encourage them to start to be a little bit more independent, stay on top of their work, and get things done. That's it for me for tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching my video. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, and I look forward to having a great year.